Delving back into the world of Armageddon, back on the orc side with the Dakkarig, which is an awesome new sculpt for orcs, an entirely new design. It's basically a Death Dread's leg with a giant cannon on the top, walking gun platform. I really like it, and I'm going to show you guys how to paint it in today's video. Before I do, as always, thank you guys so much for your continued support, liking, commenting, making sure you subscribe. Apparently, if you say it a bunch of times, it makes people think about it and want to do it. So, has it worked? Have you hit subscribe? I bet you have. You wouldn't not subscribe for me, would you? You wouldn't do that. Anyway, anyone else out there who's gone the extra mile and support it over on Patreon, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. You guys keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. If you want to join that, it is also linked down below. There's a whole host of reasons to be involved: extra videos, podcasts, private Discord server, and monthly giveaways. This month we are giving away a full Armageddon box set. So if you want to be with the chance of winning the Armageddon box set, shipped anywhere in the world at my expense, all you need to do is be signed up to Patreon at any tier. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's dive in and get this Dakkarig painted up. So this is the Dakkarig. Now, the Dakkarig for me is actually probably the most exciting thing inside of the box set. And the reason I think that is because it's the only truly new thing. We've had Intercessors before, we've had Vanguard before, you know, Captains, Librarians, Chaplains, Land Speeders, all that. Even on the Orc side, the War Track, Orc Boys, Gretchen, War Boss, all that. Had it all before. The entirely new design, which is the Dakkarig, is actually really, really cool. The idea of an orc mech boy who wants to stomp across the battlefield on a pair of mechanized legs with a very large caliber cannon strapped to the front, for which he can, I don't know, dish out lots of Dakka at the enemy, hence the name, I guess. And orcs and Tyranids have always kind of sat in that, like, them and Tau, those three have always sat for me in this like perfectly designed lore, because they can constantly innovate, design new things, and come out with new kits. And there's no pushback from the community. It's one of the biggest kind of pet peeves that I have, is that when Games Workshop go and create something new for an existing race that isn't really supposed to design new things, some part of the community will get an uproar and they'll start throwing stupid comments out, which just annoys me. Do you not want new dollies? I don't. I always want new dollies. Can I have new dollies, please? So obviously orcs being the main army for the 11th edition system, the one that's going to go against the Space Marines, we are obviously due for quite a lot of orc kits to come out. And I, for one, am very, very excited to see what those kits look like. I mean, so far, the new things we've seen, like I said, everything that came in the Armageddon box set, and now we've seen a new mech boy, new war bikers, and well, there was one more thing, but now I can't remember. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what they bring out. I'm wondering if the multi-part version of this kit comes out and it'll have other cannon options. That would be kind of cool. Big shield generator mounted to the back of it, so it's supposed to protect a large portion of the battlefield, and Space Marine or orcs, mobs getting protected as they stomp across the battlefield. That would be really cool, and I think it would look really awesome as well. So maybe we shall see that. But like I said, you cannot guess what could possibly be the next things for orcs. I'm sure we'll get new Ludas and new Burna Boys and stuff like that. Potentially new Knob Squad. But there's still definitely going to be some pretty big, crazy, outlandish kits. And we just haven't seen them yet. We've no concept of what they're going to look like. And I'm just very excited for it. So yeah, I'm definitely getting my orc army together and ready for all those new kits so that I can just start playing them in 11th edition. I've probably got about 12, 13, 1400 points of orcs painted up already and ready to go. So I'm just kind of waiting around for a few more specialty items to fill those ranks. I don't want to fill it with stuff that's already out and then my army be too big when those things drop. So if you've paid attention to my War Track video, I'm going down the exact same route as that for painting it up. First thing I do is start with that rusty base coat. The model starts black. You paint it entirely with Rhinox hide. You stipple it with the Rise of Rust, a little bit of Troll Slayer orange, dry brush it with silver, and you get this perfect rust base coat, which you can paint up all the other colors on top of. For me, obviously, I like to do them as Evil Sun, so I'm going to go straight in with Mephiston Red and do a scratchy coat of red paint, like it was painted originally as a solid coat, but wear and tear and, you know, chopping and changing parts and stuff has left it quite scuffed, scratched, and damaged, which is the kind of look that I'm going for. One of the things I'm also going to play around with the first time on orcs is the transfers. You do get some really nice orc transfers with the Armageddon box set. And obviously, because I do a ramshackle style for orcs, which I think orcs belong in ramshackle style, it's really hard to kind of fit in clean looking transfers and not have them look bizarre. So what I decided to do is kind of in the middle of the whole process. So right here, after I put the first scratchy coat of red on, I've decided now is the time to attack the model with transfers. So I've gone to the bottom. You can see that there is Evil Sun's transfers there. So I just slapped a whole lot of transfers on, things that I thought looked cool. Suited it, obviously the wrench symbol for the Mek boy, and then just different symbols all around it. That means I can then go in with that second coat of red with the Evil Suns and hopefully blend those transfers into the kind of ramshackle look of the paint a little bit better and make it look a little bit more natural. Normally I would throw a contrast medium over transfers at the end to take away that shine and the glare, but I'm planning to spray varnish the model at the end to help with pigment adhesion. So I'm just going to leave it alone for now. You'll see it be shiny for this entire project, but then you'll see it completely blend in at the end, like I said, when that varnish gets put on. So with the Evil Sun Scarlet, as you can see, I'm going lighter again and inside the previous coat of red and doing that same scratchy technique. When that's done, we're going to go over again with another dry brush of silver, but very, very, very light. We're just trying to add a little bit of chipping back on top of the red surfaces that we've already done. We don't need to make any of the other surfaces more silver. So as you can see, it's just a few quick passes and it gives us exactly what we want to do. Now, Strachan Green was then used as the base coat for all of the skin. I very quickly threw some Wraithbone into his mouth. So I basically filled his mouth with Wraithbone so that when I throw the shade on the skin, it's going to shade down those teeth and gums really nicely. It's a very simple technique, but it's easier than trying to do it after you do the green. So like I said, Strachan Green, 2 thin coats to build it up, make sure it's nice. Usually I start from a sprayed bone orc and then I start with like Plague Bearer flesh and I build up my skin tone that way, but that's not really an option with the way I'm painting these orcs right now. So a coat of Strachan Green will have to do for the base coat. Once that's on and it's fully cured, it's time to shade the skin, and that's where I go in with a Berserker Bloodshade. And because I've done that Wraithbone in the mouth, as you can see, as soon as I put that Berserker Bloodshade in the mouth, all the teeth pop out. They're nice and bright at the front, and basically the inner workings of the mouth are all gone nice and dark and pink, which looks right for orc skin. And then obviously this nice warm pinky tone across all of the skin as well. If anyone's been following my orc journey, you'll know that I'm going for a much more natural style of orc skin. Not the bright and vibrant and toxic looking green. More, like I said, if you saw an orc in real life, what would his skin look like? Which I know is a silly question to ask, but that's how I kind of rationalize it for myself. The banner on the back did start out the same as the armor panels with Mephiston and Evil Suns, but obviously it's fabric, so I want to push it up a little bit more. So we go into Wild Rider and a little bit of Tellite Ogre to highlight those areas. If the orc was wearing a top, he would also have a red top, and that would be painted the same color as the banner, so that's okay. We went into some Black Templar contrast and went in and started to paint some of the kind of lesser details that we don't really care about, but they are currently rusty and they shouldn't be. So we blocked in the orc boots, and then there's a million cables hanging down from everywhere. And I know the examples they give online, they have those in like loads of different colors, lots of yellows and reds and oranges and all that kind of stuff. I'm not mad on throwing loads of weird colors at an orc army. I prefer the more, you know, two-tone, the red scratchy look, and then obviously all the rust, and then just a nice orc sitting on the back. That does it for me. So I'm just going to block in all of these cables with black. You, by all means, do them all colorful if you so wish. They're your dollies. Do whatever you like. But for me, this definitely is the easiest way to do it. I'm sure there's a few other details around, like the strings or straps holding the banner pole, the banner onto the banner pole. I just blocked those in with black as well. Now, with the contrast and shade dry on the skin, it's time to move on to the Krieg Khaki and Ogryn Camo, which are the 2 colors we used to layer up and build up that orc skin tone. I've done videos on this orc skin already. I've done a whole video on 3 different ways to paint orcs. So if you want to go check that out and learn in greater detail how the pilot is supposed to be painted. But for now, I'm just going to fly through it, show you highlighting the skin, because I think it looks really nice. It doesn't like scream and drag your attention away from the actual Dakkarig itself. The orc skin is a little bit more muted than you would think, and I just think it looks really, really nice. I did go in with a nice Ushabti bone color or Morghast bone color and just do a quick highlight on the teeth as well. Nothing crazy, no like 3 layers of edge highlighting, just a little bit, leaving that nice pinky shade between all the teeth and all over the gums. And that did sell it really well as a really nice orchid mouth. Doing the last highlight on the skin. That Krieg khaki makes all the difference and makes it pop. And hopefully from this point on, you can see the difference in what normal orc skin looks like versus what my orc skin looks like. Like I said, I'm really pleased with the result. A few people have said they're going to try and paint it the same, follow along, which is really cool. We can have a whole orc clan of a particular skin type, which I just think is a really cool thing. We silvered in the tips of all the ammunition. We went around and painted a few extra details, the lamps and lights and stuff like that, which I don't think we really need to show off in the video. And there's definitely a few details that we just left blank. They're dark, they're in corners, or they're kind of under the orc, and they're bits that no one's going to focus on. And we're going to cover up with a bit of weathering powder anyway. So I got some sandy looking weathering powder because I want my orcs based in almost like a deserty kind of tundra look, like almost like Mad Max spacing. So I thought like some rich earth and then just some kind of dusty sandy color on top of that I think works a treat. I also painted this on the Dakkarig, so up his legs. Where the orc is standing, obviously every time he gets on and off, he's going to be dragging that sand up on his boots, and the whole like footwell is going to be covered in sand. The exhausts and stuff like that, maybe they're blowing out and distributing dust all over it as well, so I got them. And this just adds another just kind of pop of color across the entire thing. And this is what I was talking about the varnish. We've now varnished it in place, so all the transfers are now blended into the model perfectly. The pigment is now locked in place, and as a whole the Dakkarig in my opinion looks fantastic. I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and I'm very excited to move on to, I think the war boss is going to be next for the project. I can't wait to get that monster of a model painted up. And just like before, we have this beautiful Dakkarig all finished and ready to go, and now it needs to be stored. Imagine trying to put that in any case with foam or anything like that. It would be a nightmare. So once again, all I do is reach for my WarMag magnet, slap it onto the bottom like so, and slap it into the case. So the three big awkward models from that set are now in a WarMag case with the magnet, super secure, super safe, and ready to be brought to games. So WarMag really is my favorite solution to cases. So you want to check it out. Like I said, I will leave links down below to check out WarMag for yourself. They are also now available in the States. So if you're watching this from America, you can finally get your hands on these cases yourselves. All the magnetic strips and everything that you're going to need to keep your model safe.